I'm worried about my classmate who's covered in bruises. That's not a genuine concern for me, just the title of this manga I'm reviewing today. However, if that is a concern, tell someone about it. Anyway, this is a drama romance manga from the author Kuga Tsunya. Each chapter is about 1 page long until around the end, and it's one of the most wholesome reads I've had in a while, even with it being really short. Because when it starts out, you think it's just a classic tsundere manga, and the bruises are cause the main girl is always getting into trouble or something. But as the manga goes on, there's a deeper and more convoluted meaning behind them. And with 37 chapters out, I just had to share it with you all. Before I continue though, I do not do this manga justice in explaining the plot because it's kind of hard to, with it being a POV manga. So do yourselves a favor beforehand, pause this video, go read the manga linked below, then come back and finish the video. Now that that's out of the way, the manga starts like a classic tsundere manga, and we take the point of view of the other main character. And we see the main girl, who, surprise, is covered in bruises, telling us to fuck off. Chapter 2 then brings us outside, where we're supposedly walking home with her, while she's asking if we're gonna take responsibility if we make something worse at her house. Then we go back to school, where we offer her lunch, and she declines, saying our intentions aren't clear, and tries to say she's not hungry but is obviously lying. But we see her eating after that while we stare at her, saying she's cute. But she asks what's so cute about someone who's covered in cuts and bruises and wearing an eye patch, though she tells us to fuck off again. It then shows us giving her a homemade lunch, which she insults a lot, while also calling us the kind to write the girlfriend a love song, which hurts the most. But the chapter after shows her talking to us about how we didn't talk with her that day, since she didn't seem to like it. She thought that we'd get tired of her no matter how kind we are to her, but realized that we're kind and wants to ask something. That being, if we do something to her, implying that we'd cut her life short. We, of course, deny it. She then says that we don't want to save her, and that we just want her happy enough to not feel bad looking at her. She asks if it feels good to take care of her and show mercy, but insults us to get off our high horse and to not use her to validate our existence. The next chapter, though, we tell her we like her, which she insults us some more, calling us horny and disgusting. But the next chapter, she's covered in even more bruises, and we ask if she's okay, which she tells us it has nothing to do with us, and that if we just cut her life short, it wouldn't happen. Though we invite her to our house, and she's a bit skeptical at first, but says we don't have the guts to pull anything and goes with us. We try to tell her that we'll protect her, and she insults us some more, but says she's looking forward to dinner. We're apparently smiling, but to her this isn't just a sleepover, but rather refuge, and asks us to not be creepy and make her uncomfortable. She takes a shower and changes into one of our shirts, which she doesn't like since of course we'd see it as her wearing her boyfriend's shirt. We go to her about to cook, even though we offer, because she says that there's no way she'd become dependent on us and that she'll help however she can to not owe us. The next chapter, we see her crying over the meal while telling us to shut up and some more insulting, but she thinks about how long it's been since she's had a hot meal and it tastes so good. And there's a bit of white text bubbles now, which is important later on. Onto brushing our teeth now. We offer her a meal tomorrow and she insults us some more, but says that rice and miso soup would be nice for breakfast. Before going to bed, we offer ours to her and she says no way, but jokes a bit calling us gross, which is improvement. Waking up now, she asks if we're relieved that she's still there and not gone, and reassures us that if we're useful to her, we won't need to worry. And we have one full white text bubble. Eating breakfast, we ask if her parents are going to call the police or anything, but she says that they'd be the ones in trouble if that happened, and asks us to protect her to the end. Now walking to school, we say it's embarrassing to go to school together, and she calls us delusional, but there's more white text bubbles. We get to class and we're seatmates with her, and she says that our grin is off-putting, but is undeniably us. At lunch, we apologize for not making her lunch, and she's joking about how she didn't have high hopes for us anyway, but we made dinner and did her laundry, and to make up for it with dinner that night. After school, we go shopping and offer to buy her clothes, but she says that we've given plenty already, but caves after some comment. In the next chapter, she's wearing the hoodie and thinks our flattery is gross, or not, and is happy that this is the first present she's been given and she'll take care of it. It cuts to us about to cook and we forgot eggs, which she volunteers to go get since she wants omurice, but she didn't return. The next chapter shows us her again, covered in more bruises and bandages, and we offer to go to the police or a teacher, but she wants to deal with it alone. She goes on, saying that we talk to her daily, made lunch for her, and were so kind to her, and how could she ask for more? She's crying, asking to keep it like this, this, since if her parents got caught, she wouldn't be able to stay there, which she hates most and wants to be next to us, even if only for a little. We bring her lunch even while she wasn't at school, which it's the rice. She's really happy even if her home life is hell. After school, she goes home and hopes to see us at school tomorrow, and we get our first inner monologue about how if she goes with us, it'll turn out worse, and if we go to the police, it wouldn't go the way she wants. But we have this feeling that if she goes home, we'll regret it. So we call out, telling her that we should run away. She calls us an idiot for messing up our life too, but sighs and wants to do just that. Leaving now, we tell her that we'll protect her, but she feels safe since we're there. We're now going around with her, and she wasn't allowed to go on trips, and it's the first time going somewhere far away, which she thinks is fun with us. We're sitting outside on a bench since we couldn't get a room, and we give her our jackets so she's fine. And she's having fun alone in a park at night, but we have something to tell her. We confess to her in the next chapter, which she tries to make sure that's okay, and we tell her everything we like about her, and we ask her out after her getting all bashful. And she says okay and to take care of her, but we see someone with a stabby in the next page. This lady takes her hostage, and she tells us to get going, but the lady says we aren't going anywhere, saying stuff like we put unnecessary thoughts in her daughter's head and she won't forgive us, and then threatens to end us. She tries to plead with her mom, but gets cut off by her mom saying that she'll end both of us. We start saying stop over and over before cutting to a hospital with no recollection of what happened after. She's beside us, telling us what happened and how we got seriously injured. She starts yelling at us about how she isn't worth it and was worried, but stops and says thanks for saving her life and thanks for surviving. Her mom was arrested, which resulted in her becoming a ward of the state, and we apologize for getting the police involved. She's free of the nightmare and hoped to live happily ever after with us, but what can she do? And we ask to hug her, which, gotta agree with her on this one, would have been a lot cooler if we just did it instead of asking. It was our final day together and we were inseparable till the end. We promised that we'd come see her again, and it's been 5 years since that promise was made. We meet her on a bench and start talking about how we couldn't get in touch with each other and she didn't want to be a burden. But we tell her that we want to live with her, which she starts yelling at us for not listening, since she'll make trouble for us, which she doesn't want. She says that she couldn't dare ask for more after everything that happened 5 years ago. But we tell her that she can, and that we'll make her happier from now on. She tries to tell us that just our presence is making her happy, and her presence will just make us unhappy. But we tell her that we want to be happy with her together. And she pauses, tearing up, asking if she could really stay with us, and grabs onto us, confessing in tears. It cuts to us asking if she wants to go there now, which she calls us a creep for taking advantage of a crying girl, but she knows that we're not that kind of person. Before going though, she's hungry and wants the curry and rice, and there's some more dialogue, and the manga ends with a literal happy ending. Like I said before, I didn't do this manga justice with this review, but this manga overall is a 10 out of 10. It's such an emotional roller coaster, and I found myself on the verge of tears making this review, even though I've read it about 10 times already. It's such a good story and I absolutely adore it. It feels as though the author knows you're always going to feel bad for this girl and uses that to toy with your feelings throughout the entire read. But I love it and hope for these fictional characters to live the best of lives continued. I recommend you go check it out for yourselves as always. That's all I got. I'll see you in the next one.
Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul. These hentai babes make me drool. Hasane Biku is great. She makes me masturbate. Fairy tale.